phone app and okay, yeah, yeah. On your name and watch stream option.
Yeah. So is everyone able to see properly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So for looking at the charts, I primarily use TradingView almost exclusively. And in that, I have my own watchlist setup here. And the main time frame that I use for doing the swing trading is 75 minutes. Why 75 minutes? Because it divides our total NSE session of 6 hours, 15 minutes into exact 5 75-minute candles. So it gives me a proper reference into factors of 5. So I look at 3 minute, 15 minute, 75 minute, then daily, weekly, monthly. So almost all of them are at factors of 5. So 75 minutes is my primary time frame. Then I also look at what's happening in 15 minutes and daily time frames also to see how the entries are looking and how the support resistance is framing up. But 75 minutes is available only on TradingView premium customers, pro customers. So if you are using the free version, you can use the 1 hour chart also as a proxy for it. The only issue with the 1 hour chart that happens is the last candle of the day that we see here. See, example, this candle for today, and that is only a 15-minute candle. So it's not exactly 1 hour candle. So on 1 hour, if you are using all the indicators, just be cautious of the fact that all of these 15-minute candles every day end, they are going to introduce some slight noise into it. So 75-minute time frame removes this problem for me. Every day becomes exact 5 candles. So starting at 9:15, then 10:30, 11:45, 1 o'clock, and 2:15. So exact 5 candles every day, and it smooths out the charts significantly for me. Okay. Now, to identify stocks for swing trading. Now, since in India, you cannot go on the short side in cash market, so you have to stick to the long side only. Now, the best way to identify stocks for swing trading is first look at the long-term trend. Ideally, your chart should always be an uptrending chart. This is the setup wherein you get the best trades for swing trading. Now, let's see how the swings are coming in. I will take a very simple example of, let's say, Dixon Technologies. Dixon is one of my favorite stocks to trade every time. Okay. So if I go to the daily chart of Dixon, this is what we have continuously from the bottom of March last year. It is on a continuous and steady uptrend. So this is the most ideal type of setup that you can get for swing trading. And the objective here is to continuously see where are the swing lows forming in. You always look out for the swing lows and swing highs, and then start taking the positions at the swing lows. So swing lows become your supports, and the swing highs become your resistance zones. So buy at the supports, sell at the resistance zones. Now, so this is the daily time frame. We will go to the 75-minute time frame and see how things are happening. Okay. So let's say if someone is looking at this time frame here, end of January and start of Feb. So these were the previous highs that we saw here. Then Dixon broke that around 13,600. It went up to almost 16, 17,000. And it retraced till here and gave a slight pullback. Again, made a very, very nice strong support here. So when this strong support starts forming up, so this is where you start observing big green candles with decent enough volumes coming in. So the moment you start observing these big green candles coming in here, where the volumes also start increasing, this is where you realize that, okay, this is a good point to take a trade. It is going up from the support. So your stop loss becomes below the support and your immediate target becomes the most important resistance zone. In this case, the previous swing highs, so this was the swing high, all-time high here. This becomes your resistance zone as the first immediate target. Now, it did give a intermediate swing high here, a intermediate very small swing. But since it was just a small test and it came back, we don't really count it as a major resistance zone. If it would have traded here for a significantly large amount of time, then that becomes our resistance zone. So points of support and resistances are always the ones where you see maximum amount of trading happening, and the market or the stock spends a lot of time. Now, how do I shortlist stocks for swing trading? I always look at all the stocks which are trading at their all-time highs. So the best setup is when they have the momentum going on with them. And with the momentum, they start hitting the all-time highs. And when they retrace from those highs, almost always they will go on to retest the highs again. Almost always. So the whole premise is that, okay, the stock is retracing from the all-time high, wait for it to make a support, come at the support. At the support, you start seeing the green candles, big green candles, go long and book at the ETH again, or the high, whatever, or this resistance zone. So let's look at multiple trades, let's say JB Chem right now. Let's see, daily chart, much simpler. Okay, so recently it made a new high here at around 1250 regions, and then it came down. Now there were multiple tops here at 1080. So once 1080 was broken with this huge gap up candle, it came down, tested 1080 itself, and we knew 1080 is a strong support zone. The moment these green candles come here, so this becomes a point to go long at 1120, and immediately your booking becomes at this resistance zone only of 1240. So you go long at 1120 and book around 1240 here. Usually what I do is for this short-term swing trading, I take targets of 8 to 10% only, because stocks which are at the all-time highs will more or less retrace 10 to 12% from there, and to take some buffer from your entry position to the exit point, it should be almost 8 to 10% there. Now, depending on the time frame that you're looking into, so if you do the same thing onto a weekly time frame, your targets will also move up. And if you go on a monthly level, the targets will even more further shoot up. Although I never recommend trading on a monthly chart, weekly is the max time frame one should go to find these support and resistances. Let's see, Tata Consumer. Okay. So Tata Consumer, again, it has been continuously going in a very strong uptrend. Now, when this happened, there were some previous bottoms here and tops here. So we know that multiple tops here, multiple bottoms in this region. 560 was becoming a strong support area. It hit a high of 633, came down to 560, and then gave this very nice big green candle. So big green candles at the support is always your cue to go long. You go, this is where you can have the best risk reward setup. Go long here, stop losses at close below the support, and then target the previous high. So you target at around 634 region. So from 583 to 634, that is almost 50 rupees, and I think some 8 to 8.5%. Now, this is in a daily time frame. I think in a 75-minute chart, you would have gotten this trade probably slightly earlier also. Let's see what's happening on the 75 minutes. Probably not. 75 minute also would have been around 575 region only. Yeah. So Let's see, Mukut Finance. Okay, so Mukut Finance, this was the strong gap up candle.
One question regarding the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's say when you look for support or resistance previously, how backward do you recommend going? Like on a 75-minute candle? Like, let's say I somehow find a resistance that was 2-3 months old, and that doesn't make much sense to me. As in, is it like on a case by case basis or something that you just look for a week or 10 days if you're using a 75-minute candle?
I usually what I follow is that you should have enough information on the screen that the candles are visible. That's it. You shouldn't zoom out more than that. So I mean, this is significantly enough information. So this is what? December, Jan, Feb. So max, I would say 3 months of data for a 75-minute time frame. Because if I zoom out beyond this, then the candles won't be very clearly visible. So on a 75-minute, I would say 3 months of data. And on a daily time frame, I can say, let's say, almost 9 to 10 months of data.
I had a question. Like when you are talking about the swing trading, how long do you usually hold your trades? Like, or do you just wait for them to reach that resistance level or the all-time high level? Or is there
Yeah,
some?
I just wait for them to reach those points. So once you take the trade, your stop loss is set, your profit target is set, you just can wait and hold on.
Okay.
Now it can go in one day itself and it can take probably 2 months also. But as long as the setup is not changing, there is no need to change the position.
Okay. All right.
However,
Hello.
Do you
sorry,
see?
Regarding stop loss. So how do you set your stop loss? Is it the Zerodha GTT order?
no. Stop losses are always manual. So it's always a close below the support. So whenever I see that, okay, it is finally closing below this, that's when I would end up cutting it. It's not a fixed point on the chart. Like it won't happen that I will place a stop loss for 550 or I will see the market come to 550 close below it, then I will cut my position.
Okay. So for a normal person who does not sit in front of the screen every day, is it possible to automate the stop loss?
It's you can automate it. The only issue is that many times the market will just come down in a spike and go back up. It won't close below your stop loss, and then it will continue the journey. So
You
that's
look
the
at
only risk you carry if you automate it.
Okay, understood.
Lumia man, you look at the closing time as in somewhere around 3:15, or if it closed below that, the next morning you'll close your position.
No, I mean, say if it's on a daily time frame, then yes, around 3:15. But since most of my trades are on a 75-minute time frame itself, so in 75 minutes you can get a closing in any of the candles. So you have 5 candles in the day. So depending on your time frame, it should always be closing candle on that time frame itself. So if I'm taking the trade on a daily basis, I shouldn't close my trade on a 75-minute closing.
So, how long do you monitor your positions? Do you monitor them daily?
Yeah, in fact, I monitor them at every 75-minute close. So I would watch them. So market open at 9:15, definitely I will watch them. Then I keep observing them at the specific candle closing time. So this is 10:30. So I will look at 10:30 what is happening. Is there any stop losses getting hit or is there any potential new entry which is kicking in? Again, entry also always at the closing of candles. So once the candle has closed, it has given you the confirmation that the setup has formed. Only then I will take the entry. So it's only 10:30, then 11:45, 1 o'clock, 2:15. And
Okay,
it can 5-10 minutes here and there. I mean, 5-10 minutes wouldn't cause much of an issue.
do you also use volume in analyzing the stocks? Do you look at volume or not?
Yeah, volume should, in the green candles, volume should just be decent enough. And If it is more than the preceding red candle volumes, that is a very good sign. It should just be decent enough volumes. It shouldn't happen that the volumes are extremely low.
I just have one question. Like let's say you entered a setup somewhere around 616, like right where you are, and a few days later you see like those red candles with a lot of heavy volume. You follow your system, or do you exit there and then if you see something like that?
No, our system doesn't account for the big red candles at the top. This doesn't matter to us that much. What we are concerned about is how the green candles are coming at the support.
Got it. No, I was just asking, like the red candles that you have, there is a very high selling volume if you look below in the volume section. You strictly follow your method, no subjective judgments in between.
Yeah. And any which ways, if you were taking this trade, this candle is already it's already opened at a new all-time high. So our trade, according to the setup, would have exited here, any which ways.
I see. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So we were at Muthoot Finance when I first interrupted.
Yeah. So, okay, let's see Muthoot Finance. See. So this was the gap up region, and this is where we had the previous second top in this region. So whole 1000 to 1060, this whole 60-point range was a very strong support zone for Muthoot. So when it went up here, it hit a high of 1400, and then it slightly started coming down, and see this big green candle here. 1000 was the support. We knew this is the whole support range. At the support range, when we get such big candles, this is a cue to start going long. So at closing of this at around 1080, this is where one can initiate this position and then start looking for where are the immediate resistances. Now, even from 1080, I usually would have taken 8% on a 75-minute time frame. On a daily time frame, now I know that my immediate resistance, see this top is at 1280, and then multiple tops here at 1300, and then one final top at 1400. So 1300, even if I target 1300, that is almost 2% return for me. And that is much more than what I usually target. So I will almost get out of my position around 1300 region only. So position taken here and exiting around here. 1300 to 1280 on 9th of November. So this trade would have lasted over 5 to 6 weeks, and it would have been a 20 to 22% trade. And if one wants, one can definitely book, let's say 75% of the position here and hold the remaining 25% to see if it retests the high again. So the 25% could have been held till 1400 to just check if it is hitting there. At the first immediate resistance, book majority of your position. Yes, sorry, someone had a question.
I had a question, like this gap up that you were saying earlier in between June and July, just at the left side of the screen, there's a gap up opening.
Yeah.
Is like does your strategy can be extended to something like this? Like this gap up broke its previous all-time high, so this gap up would have been a new time to open a new position as well, right?
No, but our positions are always like the support zones. This gap up definitely happened, but then where do you define the support here? Support is always below the closing of the gap, almost always. So if you initiated a position at 1180, your stop loss would have been below 1000. That is 18% stop loss. And the most important thing in trading is to respect your risk and reward. Your risk to reward ratio should, if you are doing a swing trading, it should always be more than 1. Ideally, I like to keep it around 1:1.5 or 1:2 also works. But I'm never comfortable taking a trade with 18% as my risk. Because if I'm risking 18%, I need to target at least 25% from here. And that would have been from 1180, 25% would have been around 1460, 1470 levels. And I don't know if they are going to be hit or not. Anytime before taking a trade, the first thing to look out for is what is the risk in this trade. If you are comfortable taking the risk. Now here at 1080, I know my risk is just 80 to 90 points and my potential reward is 1300 to 1400 region. So at a risk of 80, 90 points, I have 220 to 320 as potential profit. So this is a risk reward. I am very much comfortable taking a position.
Got it. So, yeah, let's say that you're at a position where the stock reaches its all-time high and then starts to move forward. So, like your logic would have booked profit at the ATH itself, right?
Yes.
So, like, there's a very common saying, I'm just saying, like, let your winners run. So, like, you don't use that, but how would you like allow your winner to run? Like, what kind of changes you can make in that if something like this is what you want to do?
I do that with my long-term investing strategy. So I will discuss that also in the long-term investing session. Like how do we let the winners run continuously?
I have a question.
But for swing trading, I have a very simple system. That swing trading is all about finding your risk reward setups, taking a trade, and continuously churning. You get in a trade, you book the profits, get out, look for other opportunities. That is what I believe swing trading is all about. If you want to keep letting your winners run, hold it for the long term. That's a very separate discussion.
So, how do you decide when to keep it for long term or to exit or to treat it as a swing trade?
I keep both of them as separate. So when I know that a stock is hitting an all-time high and it fits the long-term investment criteria, so I keep both the Demat accounts itself separate. I will go long in the stock in the long-term investing also. And then for short-term, I will keep looking for the short-term trading opportunities in that stock itself.
So, generally,
So
you
I
have
will
an idea at the start about the trade that's going to happen, if it's going to be long term or swing type.
Yeah, so if I already know that this trade that I'm taking is from a long-term and swing trade both perspective, I will take the same position in both of my Demat accounts.
Got it.
Okay.
In fact, I will give a very brief overview of the long-term investing strategy also right now, and then deep dive into it later into the session. So the very simple criteria that I use for that is just find out stocks which are hitting their all-time highs significantly before Nifty is doing the same. That's it. The only simple criteria. So let's say if I look at Nifty charts and Nifty has had a significant correction, then when Nifty is in this trading zone, 8,000 to 10,000, this whole zone, start looking out for the stocks which are hitting their new all-time highs. New all-time high is the major emphasis here when Nifty is here. So the whole hypothesis is that by the time Nifty reaches its previous high and goes on to make new highs, these stocks would have run up significantly more than that. So the entry point for the long-term investing is the time and the point the stock hits the new all-time high. That's the most bullish sign you can get for that stock to enter. So using that system only, I found out Dixon technology. So just look what is happening here. A previous high of 4,800 and it hit the high and broke a new high on 29th of May itself when Nifty was sitting around 9,000, 9,200 regions. So this is a super bullish sign. So I will go long in long-term investing and 4,800 itself right there. And then just keep holding. Now, when to close this position, we will discuss later on. But overall, this trade has been running from 4,800 till 19,000 and it's still on. So it's already more than 4 bagger. Exact same setup, and you will see so many stocks following it. So Apple, FI, I have the increase at around 2200 region, 2200, and this is still long at 5800. Amber, I have the entry at this 1700 here in July. 1700 still long at 3500. What else? Hindustan Foods. Hindustan Foods, I have the entry at around 760 region itself. And from 760, it's still long till 2300. So we will delve into this much more, but the whole idea is that this is the most bullish sign you can get, that the stock is hitting a new all-time high significantly before Nifty. So that stock goes into my highest watch list. And then I tend to do swing trading in those same set of stocks only. So in my separate long-term Demat account, I have one entry position and that is just continuing, where I would want it to hold it for as long as the setup is holding. It can be 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, or even 10 years. Doesn't matter. As long as the setup is still there. And then I will try to find swing trading opportunities in those same set of stocks because I have become very comfortable with their price action now.
Okay, so
So
one
you
question
don't
regarding
use
the
any
long term.
indicators for that?
Sorry, can only one person speak at a time? I got confused between that.
Sir, one question regarding the long term trading. Sir, do you sell the call option of the particular stock that you are holding?
Not really, because most of these stocks don't have futures and options on them.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you.
I mean, half of my risk wouldn't have FNO in them.
Okay, for the stocks with a like large cap stock, do you sell the call option?
No, I still wouldn't do that because by selling the call option, I am limiting my profit there. I am capping the profit to whatever strike price I am selling the option for. And that's where the whole concept of letting your winners run kicks in. Like, I don't want to limit my winners by just selling the call.
Okay,
So
got it.
those will keep running. I don't know how much they will go. Whether they will break the setup after becoming 100%, 100% returns, or they will keep continuing for 1000% returns also. You never know when the setup will break.
Mhm. Okay, fine.
I had just one more question. Like you said that we need to select stocks which are hitting all-time highs significantly before then Nifty is doing so. But what will we do in suppose current times where Nifty is hitting new highs and obviously we're going to be waiting for a Corona crash something to.
Nifty at 14,900.
No, you don't have
I
to
mean,
wait for
no,
a Corona crash. Just wait for at least 10 to 15% correction in Nifty.
okay, 10 to 15, and then we'll look out for the stocks which are hitting all-time highs right now.
Correct. So, see, right now, even if Nifty hit a high of 14,500, 15,400, and even if it retraces to the budget low of 13,600, that is a 12% correction.
Right.
So when this happens and then Nifty starts going up, so when Nifty is at 14,000 or Nifty is at 14,200, once the bottom is hit and Nifty starts going up, and here, if you start seeing some stocks which are hitting the all-time high, go long.
All right. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
I had a question.
For figuring out which stocks are at their all-time high, do you look at them manually or you just use a script or something? Or
No,
you
I
have
just scan them manually.
got it.
Do you use any other indicators as well?
Nothing. All the indicators are lagging. Pure price action and volume is the only thing that is required. Every indicator will lag.
Yeah, thank you.
The thing about volume, it's just that the green should be similar or more than the red. That's the only volume used.
That's it. Yeah, that's the only thing with volume. That's it. So
Simplicity.
keeping it as simple as possible. No indicators, just plain candles, simple volumes. Volume should be decent enough. Big green candles, go long, close stop loss at closing below the support. And swing trading, profit booking at the previous high. So let me give an example of
Just one thing.
multiple. Yeah.
profing book it at the previous high, so we can do it only as long as it's below its all-time high, right? If it just
Yeah, correct.
so as long as it's around 10-15% below its all-time high is when that's a good screener we can look for.
Yes. No, I mean, see, booking at the exact all-time high, it's never that पत्थर की लकीर में नहीं लिखा है ना. So it's an approximation only. Now, even if it happens that a stock has retraced just 6% from the high, but you find a very, very good entry opportunity in it, then you can take it, you can take the position, and then maybe expect that even if the high breaks by 2-3%, so that gives you the 8-9% that you are hoping for, and you get out.
So I'm just asking, like, then it goes down to subjectivity, and फिर उसमें emotions involved हो जाएंगे कि we see one red candle and we want to exit or things like that.
No, there will be no subjectivity because your entry will always be at the support zones only, na? Because you know that this is where your entry is happening.
I was asking about the profit booking zone that, let's say, it crosses its all-time high and then goes 2-3% above maybe. So should I book there or should I not book there?
No, that you have to decide before taking the trade itself. All the entry, exit, everything should be predefined before you take your trade. Open a diary, open a journal, and write down in that this is the trade you are planning to take. This is where I'm taking the entry position. This is where the support is. My stop loss will be below this. And this is where I plan to exit the trade. And then set a GTT order to select that booking price.
Just one thing regarding stop loss, like let's say a support range, it's not a point, it's a range, right? Let's say 530 to 535 something. So do you do it in a percentage basis, like 1% below the range, lower bound of range?
Yeah, I usually do like a closing below the range, closing below the support. So as long as it's not closing below it, it's all fine. So let me give some examples of short-term trades that I took in Polymer around this whole starting from August time period itself. Yeah, so when I was trading this Polymer in August, it was in a continuous uptrend only, and it had fit the setup where, okay, let's see the daily chart first. Okay, so on the daily chart, this was the previous high, and it hit a new high on 10th of July itself. So it already went into my highest watch list. It came onto my radar. And then I started looking for how are the entry opportunities coming in this. Okay, so this is where we start looking out for. See, this was the high at 432. Now it fell down. It fell to 380. And then it went up. This big green candle came at 400. I got my entry at 400. And I set my booking at 432 itself, previous high. And it just went and it hit the high here. So I got my trade executed at 432 in this candle. Now this was 3rd August to 10th of August, 1 week holding trade. And same thing, now this new high was at around 447 region. We wait, it came down. Now this was the previous swing low, and this swing low, it is continuously making higher swing lows, and the whole support region is around 380 390 levels. It came down, it started making support again at 390 395 levels. This is where taking the support. Then this big green candle, after taking the support, came in here. I went long again at 410. And 410, I set a booking of 447. And this was a very, very quick trade. It booked in the next day itself, when in this candle, when it hit the new high at 447. So this was the consecutive second swing trade in this. Again, same scenario. Now we know the support region is 380 to 400 zone now. Again, this high is at 456. It came down again. Now it made a very nice lots of candles at the support zone. Gave this big green candle here. I went long at 412. Again, set the target for 456. It hit my target right here. This was also a 1 day trade only. It hit the target next day itself. So another 8% booking right here at the high. Now, let's see. After that, here I didn't create polymer. I couldn't find very clear big green candles with decent enough volume increase. So I skipped this part. I completely skipped guess. I completely skipped guess also. All of this I skipped here. Then again, now I know that it is continuously making a good support in 480 to 500 zone. So 480 lots of candles here, 500 lots of tops and bottoms here. So this whole zone is very, very nice support zone. So when I again started seeing big green candles coming in from here, so this is where I started taking an entry again and booked it out at the previous highs of 560. This was the high at 558. So this trade booked out at 558. So in the same stock, in swing trading, it keeps giving you multiple entries and exits. And you can cover the whole range using the swing trading itself. So I think I took around 5 swing trades in this one stock itself. And later on, after that, after this booking, it just shot up. So this is very difficult to capture using my current setup, but I capture all of this in my long-term account. So long-term entry for Polymer is the signal came at around 344 itself. So the moment you go long at 344 and you keep holding, so you capture these big moves in that account, and it requires you to hold for a significant amount of months and years. But short term also, it continuously keeps on giving the trades.
So if we compare your short-term gains and the long-term gains, which one is better? Which one gives you more gains?
Long term, any given day, long term.
In a short period of time, short term will be. In a longer period of time, longer would have given more, right?
No. See, 2020 was a very, very peculiar and outlier year. So these kind of crashes that we saw, they will usually happen once in probably a decade. The last big crash that we had was 2008 and now 2020. After 12 years, we saw such a big crash. So the entry points that you got after this crash were extremely wonderful. So the long-term entry points you got in 2020, there is no guarantee you will get the same kind of long-term entries in 2021. Or even for that matter, 2022 or 23. So the long-term entry points are always going to be very, very rare to come away. And you have to be prepared when they are coming and you can see those setups forming in. So both have their own importance. Long term, once you got the entry point, let's say I got it in 2020, and most of the trades are continuing till 2021 or 22. And then probably in 2023, we get another 20% crash. So that 20% crash can again start giving many, many new opportunities to trade for the long term.
So one question, if you have taken a long position in a particular stock and it starts consolidating, so after how long will you exit the trade?
As long as the setup holds, it holds.
Okay,
There
so
is
you
no
wait
time limit on the trades.
and you wait for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it wants to consolidate, all well, nothing is wrong. I mean, stocks can consolidate for 6 months and can break out. And when that breakout happens, it is massive. I mean, take example of Polymer itself. It is consolidating since September till 5th of Feb. So almost 5 months, 5.5 months. It was just consolidating in this range. And when it broke out, it straight away shot of 40%.
Okay, so understood.
And you will see this happening in many places. See the same thing in JB Chem. Again, same situation, the long-term entry at 600 itself. And then here it was just consolidating, doing almost nothing. Since what? 1st of June till 10th of August. So this was a 2.5 month consolidation. And then it broke up. It broke out. And when this consolidation breaks, then these are it just shoots up. So from here, at the breakout at 740, it just shot up to 1120 immediately within 3 weeks itself.
Oh,
And now it is continuing. So
Mhm.
for long term, the chart should always be like this in an uptrending chart, and your swing highs and swing lows should always be higher. Swing lows are very, very important. Keep looking at them, and they should always keep going higher. The moment you start seeing that the swing lows are getting broken, something is going off. So we need to deep dive into it. But as long as the setup holds, it holds.
Mhm. Got it.
So in JBCam itself, once it is on my radar, see, I see that this support is here at so at 880, when this big green candle comes in, this becomes my entry point to go long. So I go long at 950, immediate booking target at 1060, and holding the rest for 1140. So immediately you book out here and then hold the rest, which would have also booked out in this gap up candle.
Just one question, like when do you decide to stop doing this on a stock? I missed what you just said now, as in
When do I decide to do
as in
that?
you said, when the subsequent lows are below the previous low, something like this, or
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, I was doing a lot of trades in Dr. Reddy, but then recently this happened. It made a high, this was the swing low. It went up, it retested the highs. So again, in Dr. Reddy, this was a very wonderful time to get the entries. So this was the previous swing high, and it started taking support at the previous swing high itself. So these were wonderful entry points. One big green candle. If you miss this, second big green candle, second entry point at 4800. You set the targets for the previous high at around 54 region itself. So this is more than 10%. So once this is done, this trade is done, you book out. But then later on, Dr. Reddy went on to break this support. So once this swing low gets taken out, this is when I decide that, okay, now I don't need to do this in this particular stock anymore. So the idea to keep doing this is that your swing lows should continuously be, as long as Dr. Reddy was in this setup. The swing lows are continuously going up. You go long at all the swing low supports, wherever it's seeking the support. Keep going on, keep going on. And when the swing low gets taken out, then it's time to, okay, not take the trade. So now I will ignore this for the time being.
So I have two questions. So one is, do you manually track all of these stocks, right? So when you say ignore this, will you come back later in time to see if there are good patterns to take trades here?
No, I will come back and look into this when it again hits a new high. Then I will reconsider it. That okay, if it's hitting a new high, again a setup might be forming. So after the new high is hit, I will wait for a swing low support to come in, and then I might decide to take an entry again. But till the time Dr. Reddy doesn't hit a new high now, I am not going to take any new swing trades into it.
Right, but I meant in the context that you have around, say, 20, 25 companies, right? So do you manually do the homework on these, or do you have like an automated setup monitoring the highs for you?
No, I don't have an automatic setup, but I use the TradingView alerts extensively. So in most of the stocks where I have a position, I will already, or I want to take a position, I will just go and let's say right click here and just do an add alert. So I keep adding a lot of alerts here on TradingView, and it keeps alerting me on my app if something is reaching anywhere.
Makes sense. Thank you. And for the second question, right? So, is there no fundamental basis to any of these stocks that you trade? Right. I understand this is majorly price action, but if the price of the stock is breaking new highs and going beyond, right, there has to be some fundamental aspect driving to it. Do you not monitor any fundamental aspects at all?
No, I don't. I am a purely technical trader. Because I realized early on that I don't understand fundamentals. I don't know how to read the company balance sheets. I don't understand how to read the cash flow statements. So I stick to what I understand. I stick to my strengths. If I were to read the balance sheet and do a mix of these, I know I might miss something because I'm not good at it. But reading charts, understanding support and resistances, that is what I'm good at. So I stick to my strengths only completely.
Makes sense. So tomorrow you'll also take a trade in Yes Bank or something if the same patterns come out to be true, right? As simple as that.
Yeah. Because if the stock is hitting new all-time highs, then something definitely good is happening with it. Now, see, this setup is never to be taken. Never trading this setup.
I mean, in the future, if Yes Bank rises or something, right?
Yeah, and this was the perfect time to trade Yes Bank.
Makes sense. Thank you.
But till the time Yes Bank now doesn't hit a new all-time high, I wouldn't even consider it. So my whole watch list would be of stocks that are always at the all-time high only, and I keep looking for entries in those only.
Right. The question of Yes Bank came because the all-time high is so up from here, right? So that's why I thought that would be a good example to ask for.
Yeah. So this is how once you start ignoring these kind of setups, once see the Yes Bank setup got broken right here when it broke below these swing lows of 300. 300 was a very important swing low. And the moment it broke below with such a huge gap down and this is where the setup itself was broken. And after this, one should have never looked at Yes Bank only. And this is done. The setup is completely broken. So it saves you the whole paying off if you were trapped holding positions here, looking at your positions still here.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Can you show some of the setups wherein you incurred a loss or you had to cut it after it closed below the support zone?
Yeah, it happened with me in Nestle. So here what happened was that Nestle was forming a very nice support at 16,100. So it already had hit the all-time high right here itself in April-May time. So it was on my watch list. And it made these supports at 16,100 since a lot of time. Then when it started coming here at 16,100, at these green candles, I started going long. I took a lot of long positions in Nestle. So my entries were around 6,400. And then this happened, 21st of September. It just went down and closed below my entries. So I exit my positions here. And then later on, it did happen that, it again went up in here, but that's okay. I mean, my setup got broken here, so my stop loss got hit. I got out of my trades. If it would have went up from here itself, it would have been a good trade, but it's just hit it.
And a lot of times what happens is even during retracements when stocks are hitting all-time highs or they have significant momentum going on, a lot of times near the supports there are long wick rejections in what might appear as big bullish candles. So what do you do in those situations?
Can you give an example of what could be the long wick rejection on the?
There's
Can you please
significant
give me thoughts you have in mind?
uh, Can
So
I just
also I wanted to ask at a given day, how many positions do you hold? Like, what is the average number of positions that you hold?
At the peak, I can have around 15, 16 positions. On average, I have around 7 to 8 positions. Completely depends on the market conditions. Right now, I have 0 open positions, nothing.
I had just one question. So let's say if you have a stock that is hitting all-time high and then
Sorry, can you please speak a bit louder? Your voice is not audible.
Okay, is it better now?
No, there is a lot of background noise coming at your end. Can somebody else hear him properly?
no.
No.
I think he can type his question in general. I think he can type his question or something.
Is it better now or is it I don't know.
No, sorry, can't hear you.
Okay, I'll just pick. I might have get a
So one more question, since the number of active positions came up, right? How do you do capital allocation for the trades? Is it like a constant 10K or something per trade, or in terms of
Yes.
percentage portfolio?
Yes. Constant per trade.
Okay, makes sense.
So, for example, if you selected, like suppose 5 to 10 stocks that are lies in your setup, so you will equally divide your capital in them, or will there be any percentage like as to which one you will prefer more than the other?
No, I will equally divide.
Okay, makes sense.
And one of the examples that I was talking about earlier for the long wicks, there's one stock, Infibeam Avenues.
Infibeam.
So it's been in a significant uptrend.
Mm-hmm.
But near the support zones, the previous resistance zone support, you can see the green candle has a huge wick on top. The recent one, the most recent one.
This one?
No. The green candle, like previous day green candle, like yesterday's green candle.
This one.
Yeah. So over there, wick rejections on top, right?
No, but this is not even if it's okay. So from a daily perspective, there is no trade in this because in the daily it failed. Let's see what it did in the lower time frame charts. So the wick rejection would have been, wait, what date was it? 5th of March itself. Okay, so 5th of March it opened here. Yeah, so even on a 75-minute time frame, you don't really have an entry in this. Like, if you were to decide to take an entry here at 96, I would say your previous supports were 87.5.
Okay.
So at least from a 75-minute perspective, I would say that yes, this trade is doable. If you are going long at 96 with a target of 105, so you're targeting 9 rupees, but your stop loss is also 9 rupees. From a risk reward perspective, I wouldn't be very comfortable taking this trade.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Liman. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, so I had one question. So let's say you have a stock testing its all-time high, and then it starts dipping, and it forms a bottom, and you see a green candle coming up. Do you wait for another bottom to form before taking the trade, or do you generally see that as a good point to take the trade?
No. I go long at the first signal itself.
Okay, because that would be the first time that support is forming, right? After the all-time high, is it?
I know, but if the candle is coming, so that support, ideally, it could be a previous high.
Okay.
So if that candle came at the previous high, then always the previous swing highs become important support zones automatically.
Okay, I see.
But if there is nothing in there, if it's an open zone, then yes. If it's an open zone, I would wait for the support to form first.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, thanks.
So when you say wait for the support to form first, is it like do you wait for 2-3 candles, something like that, right?
No, 2 green candles. So first candle would be that, okay, some support has formed. Second candle is when you take the positioning.
Okay. You also said you don't have any open positions right now. Let's say someone takes this session and starts to do that. What's your instinct for not entering market right now?
No, I'm just not getting the setups in my stocks. That's the only thing.
I see.
I mean, the most recent trade I had was in Bajaj Electricals. So see, Bajaj Electricals, this was the most recent gap up. So once this gap got filled at the support zone here, it gave this green candle at 957. So this was the most recent trade from 960 till previous top of 1080. So this I took, it got booked out. That's it. Out of my trade.
Can you check this for one stock, EDF Foods? It's been hitting highs regularly right now. EDF Foods.
Oh wow. So see, the long-term entry point in ADF was right here at 327. It's already 3 times from here.
I've been looking at it in 600 in pain.
Okay, on a daily time frame, wouldn't have given you any quakes here. In fact, 75-minute time frame also no quakes in this region. Let's check this region. This could have been one potential quake on 22nd of Jan at 606 till 660. Yeah. So this could have been one swing trade from year to year. And again. So gap ups, and then gap taking support. Yeah, let's see how is the volume doing here. Decent king of volumes. This could have been one more potential trade at 550 and targeting the highs at 610. Yeah. So this is where I can potentially spot 2 swing trades in this 550 to 610. And here I don't see any trades here. But now see, this is becoming support zone, I would say 820. So when this happens, then in ADF 4, let's say I set the alert itself, 824, I set my alert. Okay. Now if ADF 4 is to retrace to 820 and give green candles here, this can become a potentially very, very good entry point for future. So if it reaches here, trading view will alert me, then I can decide, okay, see if some green candles are forming here, then take a trade and then again target the highs from 910 to 930 region. So from this whole region, 910 to 930. So that's how you keep identifying the new support zones now. So this was the previous top, then 2 bottoms here. So this becomes a strong support. Let's see what happens here. But again, the swing
I actually had it around. I had it around like 820. I just saw someone and it went 798 and my stop loss got hit. So, like, what would you have taken as a stop loss at 820? If you let
below 760. Below 760. Below this. So this was the immediate swing bottom that you can see here. So your stop loss has to be below this.
I see.
Yeah, so that's where you see what is the risk. So if your entry was like 820, your risk was 60 rupees. And that is almost 8%. But at 820 here, potentially, if I were to take the trade, my exit also would have been at 867 only. So potentially 45 to 50 rupees of profit and 60 rupees of stop loss. So probably from a risk reward perspective, I wouldn't have taken the trade here. But now, if it again retests this point, then it might be a very good trade from a risk reward perspective. If it is coming here and giving green candles here. So I have set an alert for it now. It will let me know automatically. Something happens in this. Okay, so this is the first part that I had to talk about. Taking the swing trades in all the stocks that are hitting the long-term highs, the new all-time highs. Okay. Second important part is what to do when the crash is happening. So, example, our March, this COVID crash, what to look for in these crash times. So, whenever crash is coming in, to take swing trades, always look into the large cap stocks only. Nifty 50, Nifty Next 50. Probably that's it. No need to go beyond these top 100 stocks. Okay. And for these, start looking out for the super long-term support and resistance, support points. Like go back past 5, 6, 7, 8 years and see where have the supports been forming. And then start to take trades there. And in such a big crash, you can always take those swing trades for 25%, 50%, or even 100% returns in the swings. Now let me show example of my main large cap watch list. Okay. So this is all the stocks from Nifty 100 only. And let's see. If someone wanted to get ITC only, ITC has been a favorite for the sub. Okay. So we go to the weekly chart of ITC and see where are the long-term supports coming in ITC. So see, this was the support range, long-term support zone from 240 to 200 in this whole time frame, 2013 to 2017. So when the crashes are coming, start looking out for these support zones on a weekly time frame, and then look for the daily big green candles coming here. But since ITC just fell down and they didn't even respect the support at 200, look out for the next support here. So the next support in ITC comes in this region where we have these tops at 120 and lots of trading which is happening here, 120 to 140 zone. So this becomes the next support zone for ITC. So once this support is taken out, start looking out directly for trades in this support zone. And it turns out ITC started hitting bottoms at around 135 to 140 region only. So from weekly perspective, you know this is the support zone. Now go to the daily chart and see where are the big green candles coming here. So at the support, when you start seeing these big green candles at the support zone from 140, when these start coming in, this is where you can decide to take swing trades in the large cap stocks. And the immediate booking point becomes your previous support zone itself. So if you were to go long here at 160, your immediate booking would have been at 200 because 200 was my previous support zone. So first booking point at 200, second booking point at this region, these big candle tops at 237. So this would be the second booking point. Now it turns out that ITC took a significantly long time to reach there, but it finally did reach here. So if someone were to really take this trade here in ITC, the first booking at 200 would have been immediately done. The second booking would have happened here in February itself when it hit 237, 238. So this is let's see JSW's key. Let's see what JSW did. 2008 top, 2011 top, 2014 top, multiple tops at 135. 3 tops. So this is the long-term support zone. And it has already started. It was falling only in a downtrend. And during the COVID fall, it went all the way from 275 to 135. And right here, it started making its bottom. So now go to the daily chart and see what is happening at 135. So this is it. It's falling. It's consolidating. And this is where we see the gap up and the big green candle. So you go long here at 155. Now we know that the support has formed here, 155. And directly your booking becomes the immediate resistance point. And we see immediate resistance in JSW at 290. So this becomes a straight from 160 to 290. A straight wave. So this becomes the first booking point. And then later on, yes, if you still want to hold, then once these tops are taken out, the next important resistance is directly in this zone only, 390 to 420. So this would have been the booking point for your second position, if you were still holding till this point. Yeah, let's see, Kotak Bank. See. This were multiple bottoms here at 970 and bottoms at 1000. Immediately 1000 in 2018. Then it hit a high at 1737. It fell down, started taking support at 1000 and 1100 region only. Then see what the daily candle is doing, daily chart is doing. So you start seeing the big green candles here, start going long, and your immediate booking then becomes, I would say first would be here because you have multiple tops and multiple bottoms here. So 1550 becomes your first booking, and the second booking becomes the high only again directly, 1740. So it took a long time. I mean, it consolidated for many months before it finally went up to hit those targets. But it also gave you multiple entry points in these regions. Now, this is if someone is looking for really 40, 50, 60%, but if you were looking for some 25% quick trades only, then I think 25% you would have gotten from all the entries that you see here. From year to year, it would have been 25% quick trades also. Let's see, ICICI back. Okay. See, just before the COVID fall, one bottom here, some tops here, multiple tops here, and multiple bottoms. So 340. Wait, let me remove the drawings. Let's make some fresh drawings. Okay, so I know this 340 to 260. This 80 rupee zone becomes my huge support zone. So wait for ICICI to come in this zone and then start seeing the green candles. Yeah. So the moment it enters this zone and then you see these green candles, so this is where you can enter ICICI at 315. This is within the zone, long-term support. And since this was a straight fall, there wasn't really any immediate resistance in ICICI till, I would say, 520 itself. So 520 to 550. That was the direct resistance zone only. And it hit that. It hit the zone in December, Jan time from here. Okay.
Can you show Reliance? It has been flipping between 1800 to 2200 for 4 months now.
I see. Okay. Reliance also see. If we look at the long term, this was the important bottom here, and lots of trading happening in this range where you have already had multiple bottoms. So 870 to 1030, this was the support zone. Wait for Reliance to see what is happening here in this support. And finally, when in this zone you start seeing these green candles, this is where you go long at 1000 itself. And immediate resistance can be this, immediate booking at 1500 and second booking at 1600 at the previous top. So this quick, 1500 and 1600, you can book out immediately here. Okay, and then later on, Reliance also went down to make a new all-time high here in June itself, which was also significantly before Nifty. So from a long-term entry perspective, again, this could have been, 1600 could have been another entry point from that angle. And I think so far it is continuously respecting the swing lows. So these are the swing lows. Now 1840 has become very, very important zone for support for Reliance. It has taken two supports here. So this swing low becomes very, very important now. Just keep watching out for this. If Reliance breaks this low, then I would stop taking any trades in this at all. But if you were to take trades in Reliance in this support zone, then see, when these candles are forming, this becomes your first booking point at 2080, and second becomes directly here at 2300. So if anyone is long, 2300 becomes a immediate good booking point. But a long-term trade with further taken at 1600, that is still on. As long as the swing low holds. The moment this swing low goes, then something is off.
Just one thing in Reliance, like there was like around, let's say this 2000, around between July and September in 2000, there was a low and then it broke that. So yeah, see,
This August?
Yeah, it then broke it in November. So will you exit it?
This actually this low is very, very, I mean, this isn't a very, very big swing to really call it a low.
I see. Just 2 days, yes.
Yeah, it has to be a decent kind of big swing to even say that, yeah, that is a swing low.
Got it. Cool.
This is a very important swing low now, 1840. Extreme here. 1, 2, 3 bottoms here. 1840 to 1900, this whole zone.
Hi, I have a question. Ignore this if you've already answered it, but are you at all worried about the falling volumes now?
Volume saying?
Are you at all worried about the falling volumes now on the daily charts? Like you can see from
Specifically for
November.
Reliance?
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I mean, isn't that against the basic price action? What do you call it? Theory that if there's an impulsive move with low volumes, then that will not sustain for long.
Might happen. One never knows. But what usually also happens is that if it is to make a new high here, the volumes will significantly increase again.
Oh, so the volumes will come as and when the price moves up, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it makes a new high tomorrow itself, then the volumes will immediately start coming back again.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So the volumes will only be decent enough when you're taking those entries, but otherwise it doesn't really matter that much. Swing highs, swing lows, supports and resistances, that's mostly it that matters. Let's
All right,
see
thank you.
Titan. Okay. Same thing in Titan. See, this was the long-term thing. Multiple bottoms here at 770, and this was the gap till 650. So 770 to 650, this becomes important support zone in Titan. So when Titan is falling big, then you start looking out for entries in this zone. So it just entered the zone and immediately shot up from here significantly. So if one were to take a trade entry here, then since this fall is also very rapid fall in straight fall, your direct booking in Titan also probably, I would say these regions only, 1230 to 1320. These would have been your booking regions.
One question again. So in the case of an impending crash, right? Like how in March, everyone kind of knew that a big crash was coming, and a lot of us were actually holding like 7,000 puts or 7,500 puts, right? So do you tend to cash out all the positions and sit idle on cash? First thing, and secondly, is that the reason why you said you have no open positions right now?
Yes, because I would have no open positions since all of my existing positions would have been stopped out right at the tops itself. Somewhere here, when the stop losses broke. So whatever I had, so if I look at Nifty itself, see, Nifty was continuously making swing highs, swing low, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. And then here it made a new low, which is below this swing low. Then it went on to make a lower high. So this lower high, and then it again broke this swing low also. So at this point itself, it was a confirmation that the immediate bullish trend is gone away because it has made a lower high and a lower low. A lower high, lower low is what tells you that the bullish trend has come to an end. So most of the trades would have been stopped out in this zone itself. In fact, all of them. And then here you just sit out because you won't get an entry anywhere. Till the time most of the stocks can again come to their support zones.
Right, makes sense. So again, predominantly there's only price action. There are no sentiment involved there.
Yeah, there is nothing sentimental here at all. Now from here, Nifty is continuously making higher highs and higher lows only. So the whole, see now the swing lows which are important, this swing low is important, 13,200, this is important, 13,600. Now, I mean, these are just intermediate, not much importance to guess. So if Nifty were to fall from here, then see it would have been a lower high. And if it takes down this low also, it would be having a lower low. So that would indicate that something has changed in Nifty. But as long as the swing lows are holding. Yeah.
Sorry, please go on.
Yeah, so I was saying that as long as the swing lows are holding, the higher swing lows are always higher. No worries. there isn't kind of worrying sign.
Okay, so right now, from a risk reward perspective, I think does shorting on Nifty make sense? Because as you said, we are very near to the short term high, but we're very far from the short term low.
See, I'm the biggest bull you will find in the region, so I will never ever recommend anyone to go and short the market. So in the long term, markets always have an upward bias only, and you will get these crashes. They will come once in a while, but there is always an inherent upward bias to the equity markets. So if you stay on the long side, there is, see, if you were short, you would have gotten 1 month to make profits if you would have caught this whole move. It might have happened that you might have even shorted it, but you saw 1,000 points profit, you booked out. Because 1,000 points, how many times do you see 1,000 points profit? And it went down to fall 3,000 points. So that was just one opportunity, 1 month to trade Nifty from the bear side. But from previous April till current March, it's been 11 months of continuous upside. So many opportunities to make money on the upside as compared to opportunities on the short side. So it pays off to just play from the long side. And I honestly don't play in FNO, so I don't really care. I don't have any instruments to short also.
Okay, thank you.
So I will see a very recent trade during Grasim also. See, Grasim was just consolidating here, and Nifty had fallen significantly. And Grasim was consolidating, not falling at all. And when here at these levels itself, it gave this big green candle. I thought, okay, something good is happening here. So I just went for a quick long at 1235. In 1235, I went and booked at my 8% at 1340. 1340, I think it hit here in this candle, yeah. So I booked it out from year to year. So that was, I think, around, what, 3% above the previous high. Okay. But the setup was looking very good, continuously. I always look out for this setup.
What was your stop loss in the previous trade?
In Grasim Creek,
Yes.
right below this. 1175. Right below here.
Okay,
I think you guys have had a lot of sessions already on finding out the relative strength. So relative strength plays out everywhere in the markets. You just see which stocks are doing good, which are not falling with the market and then starting to give good green candles. So they have the biggest potential to go on and make new highs there. JSW Steel, same thing. Tata Steel, same thing. So see, when Nifty is falling a lot and you see that Tata Steel is still, okay, again, look at this beautiful swing trade in Tata Steel. So one bottom here, again one bottom here, it went up till 720, again just touched those previous swing bottoms only, 600. So it comes to 600, you start seeing those big green candles. This is the time to go long on the 75-minute. Big green candle here. But see the same thing in the daily chart. This bottom at 600, and then this bottom at 600. Such beautiful green candle here at 635. So go long at 635, book at 720. What a beautiful trade.
Okay, well, I mean, I have a question. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube. They always say that reading charts without volumes is like a blunder. And I mean, what do you have to say about this? Do you at all look at volumes? I mean, in this particular setup, like the volumes for me weren't very good, right? I wouldn't go long on that green candle because the volumes were less than the previous.
My sole emphasis is on the candles more than the volumes. So volume I said should be decent enough. So this is still volume of 21 million, which if you compare to previous candles, 16 million, 16 million, 14 million, 15 million. So this is still decent enough volumes as compared to the previous candles here that we are getting here. And you look at the volumes here in these regions also. This is what, 13 million, 12 million. So in general, it's decent enough. As long as it's decent and the candle is very, very nice, I go long. Price action is the primary thing in the market. Volumes is the secondary thing to look for, and all the indicators are tertiary things. So your candles will give you the best. Your candles will give you the best signals. Now you can use volumes for confirmation. If you are not comfortable with the volumes, don't take the trade. You will definitely get multiple opportunities where the volumes are also supporting your trade.
Or maybe take the trade with only half quantity or less quantity, and then we can like gradually put in more money if we can see that it's working in our favor, right?
Yep. The problem with putting in more money is that the risk reward for that more money becomes skewed. So I mean, if you went long at 635 and later you decide to pump more money at 680, the stop loss for this 680 money is still below 600 only. So that is a huge stop loss. So I am not comfortable with adding more money here because the stop loss is very high.
No, but the average price is in the middle, right? So the stop loss only increases slightly, not by that much.
That depends on how you look at it. The way I look at it is that for this position, I had a stop loss of only 5 to 6%. For this position here, now I have increased my stop loss to 15%. So my average stop loss became 10%.
Right.
I'm not comfortable taking a 10% stop loss on my average position, so I wouldn't add it later on. Managing the risk is the first and foremost thing in any trade that you take. Here I see my risk to be minimal, 5-6% risk only. A beautiful green candle at the previous support zone. Here my risk is very, very different.
Okay, and I think if anybody else has a question, please you can please ask him, or I'll go ahead with my question. Okay, so I'll just go ahead.
Do you have any swing trading book that you've read? Sometimes I like to read a bunch of past cases, or it's very simple. There's not much to read on it from what you explained.
This short-term setup, I haven't read anywhere in a book, especially not for swing trading, because I haven't seen many people follow the same kind of setup. But yes, the long-term investing, definitely, the idea that I follow is followed by many other people, and I got it from most of the Twitter, many influential people on Twitter itself, and that book by Mark Minervini. So Mark Minervini describes this whole idea of long-term investing. And then there are a few people on Twitter, Puru Saxena and Julian Kumar, whom I used to follow. And they just reinforced my belief in my long-term investing setup.
What was the second name? Puru Saxena?
Julian Kumar. He's, I think, a German guy. Julian Kumar and...
I know the quote you used, like the stocks that hit their all-time high at the start of a bull run, is from Minerva's book.
It could be Mark Minervini's book only.
Yes, it's from that book only. I've read that.
Yeah. And see, Tata Steel has been going up from 280, 290 odd regions, and all the value investors would have loved to buy Tata Steel here. But I have a very different philosophy. I intend to buy Tata Steel when I see that, okay, it has already made a high here. So 720 for Tata Steel is a new 10-year high. I mean, 10 year is still a long time period. I can consider it as an all-time high only for all practical purposes. So when I see that, okay, Tata Steel has now reached its new highs, and now it is taking support at the swing low. So this is where I know that, okay, my setup is fitting in. I didn't even touch Tata Steel in this whole up move. Many people might have done this, but this whole up move, I was continuously trading Dixon. Like I have so many entries and exits in Dixon in this whole range. Like buying here, selling here, buying here, selling here, buying here, selling here, buying here, selling here. I was busy clicking all of these stocks only. So you will get opportunities. Opportunities are plenty in the market. You just need to wait for your setup to kick in. That yeah, this stock fulfills your setup. This looks good to me. My risk is defined in this. I know my risk, and it is less than my potential reward. So I wouldn't hesitate to take the trade here. Now I'm waiting for a fresh entry in Dixon again. Hopefully, if I get it, this was the previous high at 16,800. So yeah, if I get an entry in Dixon again in 16,800 to 17,300 region, that would be a wonderful trading opportunity. From here till all these highs here at 19,700. So I wouldn't mind taking a trade here again. So you just wait for it. I check an alert. Whenever it reaches here, I would jump in to take a trade. Obviously, a green candle coming in here. Green candles are a must. See, Deepak Nitrite. I was trading it. See, Deepak Nitrite, nice setup. Then look here. It is starting to form a support here. I get this green candle. Then again, I get this second green candle here. So it's just reinforcing the trade at 750 with straight booking at 860. And it hit 860 here. And that is a different thing that after 860 again, it has continuously just gone up. But swing trading, it's very difficult to capture this. But if you are doing long-term investing in Deepak Nitrite, then yes, 560 itself was your entry point right here at the high. So from that 560, it is at 1560 already 3 times. But the only swing that I got was this only. So I took this 752. I didn't hold off to 860. I probably booked out at 840 itself. I got my 8-9%. I booked out. Some trades in Escorts. So Escorts also has been on continuous uptrend only. So when this happened, I know that okay, this support zone is forming at 1200. So at 1200, when this green candle came, I went long here at 1260. Immediate booking at this high at 1380 and remaining position at the highs 1430. Booked out then. Lots of trades in Garwale fiber. See this region. Multiple bottoms here. This is becoming a strong support. 1800 level strong support. It went up till 2200, came down, gave this big green candle. I took a long at 1920 and booked out at the top. 2200. Yeah, these 2200 tops right here. This trade was done. Then Gujarat Gas. Gujarat Gas, I had so many trades in this region. So let's see. Yeah. Okay, this is daily chart. I need to show you the 75-minute chart in this time. See here. When it is making lots of bottom side support here. It made a high at 325. Came till again 280 regions only. Gave this green candle at the support. I went long here and held till the high. So this happened. It closed off the trade here. Again, same thing happened. It came till these regions at the 280 support levels. Again, the green candles came, went long here and had a booking of these regions only. So this was a huge wick. It booked out in this wick itself at the top, 327 regions. So this trade booked out here. Again, it came down to 280 regions only support, gave a big green candle at the support, went long again here, and set the same booking targets at 326, 325 region. And it booked out here in this. And after that, Gujarat Gas just shot up big time. Now, it shot up. After that, it made a high here. Now, this was the previous support, 348. At 348, it gave this big green candle, 368, went long, booked out at 390. And what happened was this 390 trade, it gapped up and it closed out at 415, I guess, somewhere around this region itself directly. So that was just a bonus. I was looking to book out at 390 only. And it booked out here. So same set of stocks only, just keep looking, okay. Swing bottom, big green candle, go long, book for the high. And it keeps repeating. As long as your stock is continuously just following the uptrend, you keep getting multiple swing trades in the same set of stocks. JK, same thing. Yeah, see, this was the high, and these were the previous bottoms here. It came here, and I started seeing these green candles here. And see, for someone looking at volumes, look at the huge volume in this candle. So if you want the volume confirmation also, this gives you the green candle with volume. Go long here and then just set the booking for here, 2180. So from 1900 to 2180, it booked out here. And then it shot up more, that is a different story. Yeah, so
Can you just do Minda Industries as the last stock if you're tired now?
Minda Industries, okay. Minda is actually 515 is a good support. It just hit it and went up. But so if someone goes wrong at 550, from 550 to this, but the risk is also more than 40 rupees, more than 8% risk. It was a good trade if the green candle would have come at here only at 525, 530, but at 550, I'm not comfortable taking this. So risk is very high here. But this was a good support.
Got it.
Usually the previous swing highs tend to become very, very good supports.
I have a question in this graph. Would you say after 600, after it hit a 600, it's in a downward trend because it's making higher lows?
Higher lows wouldn't be a downtrend, right? Lower highs and lower lows would be your downtrend.
Right. That's what I meant. See, after 600, these red candles show that it's breaking the support, right?
No, but there is no support yet. Nah. Support was directly at 515 only. There is no support here. So
Would you not
515
consider 560 a support?
No. This is very small. This is very small. A swing to be considered a support.
Okay.
If it would have traded here multiple times, then probably yes. But this just went up. Not that important. The previous swing high has significantly more importance. Significantly more. So this was the support at 513 and then actual support is at 450, the previous swing bottoms. I look at Coforge again. Same thing around this time. So it was continuously making these bottoms here at 2400. And then I think just around this time, it fell big, gave some wicks only, didn't close below and gave this good green candles here. So this is where I went around 2450. Coforge directly targeting first immediate at 2620 around these highs, second target at 2750. So they got booked out. And again, same thing. This was the previous support zone at 2400. Now look out what happened here. Around 2400 zone only. It gave this big green candle. So one potential entry point again. And booking immediately, if I wanted 8%, that would have been a 2650 zone only. So that also happened at around 2650 zone. So book out that also.
So from what I understand, this is a high RR setups, right?
Not that high. I would say it would be 1:1.5 or 1:2. Usually it's not more than that.
What's the like profitability, like the probability out of 10 trades that you take? How many on an average hit the targets? Say.
I would say 8.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
Because the momentum is on your side. Momentum is your best friend.
Basically, I am also a Mark Minervini follower only. So I trade based on the volatility contraction patterns. So some of my recent positions are like Tata Steel, BSL. Then there's other stocks. Can you look at Tata Steel, BSL from your point of view as well? It's Tata Steel, BSL. It's separate. Yeah, the second.
I would never touch this stock, man.
Yeah,
Never
basically,
ever in my life I would touch this.
I look more into 52-week highs and lows. So since it was more than 100% up from its 52-week low, that's the March lows, and after that it had a contraction. So that's why I bought it.
Okay. Short-term trend definitely up, but I personally would never touch it.
Okay. So you're more into all-time highs rather than 52-week highs.
Yeah. No, all-time
Yeah.
highs. The stocks have to be at all-time highs for me to take those trades.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
I see Biocon also. Same thing, I think. Around 400 zone. Lots. Yeah. See. So these were the highs, 445. And now it came here and gave this big green candle at 404. So from 404, take this long and booking target directly at 445. So it booked out here. So this was a trading Biocon in September. Now after that, I didn't really take any trades in Biocon after that. So it's just sitting there. Lawrence Fabs, same thing. See, after this high at 340, it came down. These were the previous lows here, but it gave a big green candle here only. So this 280 candle, I went down straight ahead, booking at 340 directly, booked out here. After that, again, Loras, I haven't taken a trade now, and it didn't give any such. This was one potential entry point, but from 357 to 380, I was skeptical to take the trade here. Slightly, but potentially it could have been a trade 357 to 380, 23 rupees. But it would be having 6% only, 6 to 6.5%. So I didn't take this. This was much more comfortable.
Will you touch Hindustan Unilever right now?
Not really. Although honestly, the swing lows are higher and higher, definitely. But it is not making new all-time highs now. I mean, this just made it, but after that, it's not doing anything. I wouldn't trade Achievable now.
Understand.
I mean, at least it should have been hitting new highs now, later on, at least. Some new highs. If this swing high instead of 24, it could have been at 2700, and then it retraced, definitely yes. But it's not giving me much confidence.
Okay.
I mean, see, it's all in front of you only. If you give me this chart to trade versus if you give me this chart to trade, any given day I would pick this chart to trade. Or let's say Alkigami, exact same chart. Or look at Apple, exact same chart. Bajaj Electric. So why wouldn't I trade these chart setups when I know they have so much momentum going behind that there is significant chance that I will make money as compared to a stagnant chart pattern? So it's always a choice. What kind of pattern you want to create. I will always, any given day, take this kind of chart setup to create.
I just noticed that you don't have any Adani in your watch list. Is there any reason that you have not trading? Because they are also following the type of pattern that you like.
Yes, Adani does that, but just a very, very small personal bias against Adani. I don't really like that group. So Adani group and this Vedanta group, these two groups, I don't really like them. Highly unethical people, so I just ignore them. Personal bias. But yeah, I mean, if one wants, they fit into the setup very beautifully, very, very beautifully.
Right, because even Adani Green, Adani ENT, right now Adani Power is following that kind of setup. So I was just
I
wondering.
mean, you take any stock of Adani, it's doing the same thing.
Adani Power has no sellers and million something buy orders right now.
Because it's on circuits. It's on
circuits for the next 5-10 trading days.
And this is the new one, Total Gas also, same thing. I mean, the setup is very, very beautiful. But I just ignore the whole Adani group. Just personal bias. Nothing against the setups. Setups are very, very nice in them.
Okay, all right.
I mean, even in Adani Total Gas, see, if someone got long at 180, 190 region only in September. So from 190 to 716. So you already hold. This is how you automatically catch hold of multi-baggers also. You don't need to do any special kind of analysis. Just hang out. Okay. Very simply, just see that, okay, yeah, it is hitting a new high much more before Nifty. So there is a high chance it might go on to, it has high momentum, it might go on to create much, much higher. And I will take many more examples of this long-term investing in the next session. I will show you about historically also what were the time periods when was a good time to trade HDFC Bank, Havels, when was a good time to trade Hindustan Unilever, ITC, all of them. And even we'll take examples of the US stocks also later on. So we will deep dive much, much, much more into it in the next session.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if no more questions, can we call it today?
Sure, this was very helpful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Wonderful session, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.